Hey everyone. So real quick before I kind of show you what I look like, just know that my computer doesn't currently have internet, so my skin is going to be absent for today's video. So when I show up looking like Minecraft Steve, just know that this should only be for today's Minecraft video, and I should have that fixed for the next video or the next episode. But I wanted to do something kind of fun today, and that is looking at well, I guess I had a question that I needed to have answered because Mumbo recently built a lava farm in order to power his many different smelters that he's using for experience and other things. And that got me thinking what the most efficient method of fuel is in a furnace. And so here are all of the options for fuel in Java Edition Minecraft. There are a couple of discrepancies in the Bedrock Edition. Maybe that'll happen in a future video, but Java is mainly the version that I play, so we're going to go through and talk about those differences and what the best fuel sources are. And of course, we start down here at the very bottom of the chart with the literal worst item, that being bamboo. Now, bamboo is, I mean, if you're in a pinch, you can certainly use it, but you're going to have to use 4 bamboo in order to get 1 item smelted in a standard furnace. And I didn't look into or get the other details as to whether or not these items can be used as fuel in blast furnaces, smokers, other types of cooking or furnace-based items. But everything that we'll look at today does indeed work in standard furnaces should you have to use it. So right here you'll see that I have 4 bamboo equals 1 item smelted, and then that rating there is what comes off of the fandom wiki, which gives us a basic rate of return. And I basically just did the math to make sure that we can get to a nice round number, because you want to try and be as efficient as you can with these type of smeltings. And as you can see, the one right next to it, this is by far the weirdest one in the game in terms of how it works. It has a very, very arbitrary number of 0.335, which means in order to get a nice round efficient number out of using carpet, you have to put 200 carpets into a furnace, and that will allow you to smelt 67 items. I mean, it's interesting that that's something that can happen, but that is to get perfect efficiency out of using carpets as fuel. You're going to have to use 200 of them and have over a full stack of items ready to go. So in a pinch, you can use carpets. That kind of surprised me that that was an option, but you really don't want to because it's highly inefficient. Next on our list, which kind of makes sense as being a little more efficient, is wool. And the next couple of items that we'll be looking at have the same type of efficiency, where you will need 2 of these items in order to smelt down 1 full item. So we need 2 wool, 2 azalea, 2 sticks, 2 saplings, and these can be any type of saplings. Whether it's oak is what I've got shown here, but you can also use birch, dark oak, or spruce, or acacia. And of course the nether plants, they grow based off of funguses, so that doesn't fall into this category. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we make our way down towards the end of this stream. We also have bowls and buttons, which are at a 2-to-1 as well. Now, wood slabs are in kind of a weird spot, and this basically means that they work at exact half efficiency of wooden planks. And we will look at planks a little bit further on down this list. You can kind of see them down that way. But basically they work at half efficiency of what the planks do. So some people would say that you can get further by using planks as opposed to by using slabs as opposed to planks. But the reality of it is that's just not the case, because planks, they are operating at half efficiency. You put 4 slabs in a furnace and you can fully smelt 3 items. Whereas doing that with planks, you put in 2 items and you put in 2 planks and you get out the 3 items smelted. So nothing super interesting there. And that is the only one that kind of behaves this way. As you can see that we have the smooth red sandstone up there indicating the change. Now, we have 3 items that smelt at a 1-to-1 ratio. That is any type of wooden tool, and then any type of sign or door that is not metal and is not made out of any of the nether variants of wood, because both crimson and warped wood is fireproof. It will not burn down if it's subject to fire within a fire tick spread, and it does not burn even if it's in its different variants, including signs, buttons, planks, doors, anything of the sort. Now, by far the largest category, and you can see this based off of the top here as we make our way down this row, the largest category, the largest selection of items that you can use to smelt in a furnace or to cook in a furnace do fall into the 1.5 efficiency, or 2 items will get you 3, or any 2 items will get you 3 the cooked items out of that furnace. So we have fishing rods, bows, crossbows, banners, note blocks, jukeboxes, which if you're using jukeboxes to fuel your furnaces, just stop. I mean, that's a very cruel way to waste some diamonds. But I suppose if you're in a really, really tight spot, you can absolutely use that as fuel. So moving right along, we have daylight sensors, barrels, trap chests, composters, lecterns, bookshelves, looms, smithing tables, fletching tables, cartography tables, crafting tables, ladders, fences, fence gates, wood trap doors, wood pressure plates, wood stairs, wood planks, and with all of these little wood ones that we've gone through recently, the same logic applies. You can't use crimson or warped plank variants in order to smelt these things down, because again, they are fireproof. Wood, logs, and the difference between wood and logs is, you combine 4 logs together and you can get up 3 blocks of wood. So if you're using wood, you're kind of wasting things as well, because logs work just as efficiently. And then also beehives, bee nests. All of those items can get you a 2 to 3 exchange, where you put in 2 of those items as fuel and you can smelt down 3 different items. Now, the thing that I did find that was kind of interesting is our number 8 spot here, which is scaffolding. Because if you remember, bamboo is very, very bad, and you have to use 4 pieces of bamboo in order to get 1 piece of whatever you're trying to smelt it down. But you put 6 bamboo into a crafting table and combine it with 1 piece of string, and you will get 6 different pieces of scaffolding out of that. Or I actually think it might be, I can't remember exactly what the recipe for that is, or what the recipe for that spits out. But you can get a lot more bang for your buck if you craft your bamboo into scaffolding and then use the scaffolding as fuel in your smelter. I don't know why you would want to do that, because again, there are much better and easier to access versions of fuel that we're starting to get into. But again, in a pinch, that is going to get you a lot bigger of a bang for your buck, as opposed to the bamboo that you could get out of there. The number 7 slot is a boat, and boats I actually were kind of surprising to me as well, but it does make sense. You can get 6 items smelted down out of inserting 1 boat into a furnace, which is pretty nice actually in terms of how well that ends up working. We then have charcoal and coal, and the reason that the charcoal has wool up here above it is because you need to burn down wood in order to get charcoal, and there's not a whole lot of ways to do that that's resource efficient. And so charcoal is not a super great option for fuel, but again, you can do it if it works. But again, you can use it if you have nothing else easily accessible. Coal, on the other hand, one of the most easily gatherable resources out there, also smelts things down 8 items for every 1 piece of coal that you put into the furnace. So some really good resource utility out of there as well. Getting into the top blocks, or the top resources to use now. We have blaze rods, which is still pretty good. You can get 12 items smelted out of sticking a single blaze rod into a furnace. So if you built up a blaze rod farm, that's a decent way for you to spend some of the excess fuel that you are getting out of that. And you can get some bonus experience out of it by smelting things down and then collecting whatever you've smelted out of that furnace. We then have in our number 3 position the dried kelp block, which will get you 20 items for every block that goes through the furnace. But again, this is kind of misleading because you're needing to spend fuel in order to dry the individual kelp pieces, and then you need to craft the kelp into a block. So you have to take 9 pieces of dried kelp and craft that into a full block in order to use that as fuel in your furnace. So again, not really the best, most resourceful use of that, but I suppose you can kind of make a trade-off of that because you can use smokers to smelt down kelp into dried kelp or cook it into dried kelp and then make it into a block. So it's a trade that you can make, but you just got to be cautious with it. Then you can see in our number 2 spot, we have a block of coal. That's one of the best options and by far more efficient than what you can get out of a piece of coal. Not by a whole lot, but by a pretty significant margin. But a block of coal is more efficient than standalone coal because with a block of coal you can smelt 80 items, which is the equivalent of 10 regular pieces of coal, and it only takes 9 blocks of coal in order to make, and it only takes 9 pieces of coal in order to make a coal block. So some pretty good stuff there, and if you have the resources to make your coal into blocks and you're going to be smelting down a considerable amount of items, preferably in a smelter array, because otherwise you are going to end up wasting that coal. But that is the best way for you to make good use of coal as a smelting material, is turning it into blocks as opposed to using it regularly. And as probably very evident, and in case you hadn't figured it out by this point, the number 1 smelting item or smelting fuel source in the entirety of Minecraft as a game is indeed the lava bucket. And I didn't realize just how powerful lava buckets actually are as fuel in furnaces, but by placing 1 piece or 1 bucket of lava into a furnace as fuel, you can smelt up 100 items. That is over a stack and a half of items that you can smelt down using a lava bucket. So obviously Mumbo did his research. He knows that that is the fuel source that is going to be the best source of fuel for anything that he is seeking to cook in a furnace. And as an extra benefit, it only consumes the lava within the bucket, and then you have your bucket retained, and you can then go and use it for really anything else that you could use or could want to put in a bucket, as opposed to consuming the entirety of it. But that is everything that I wanted to go over, and this proves to be a nice little handy resource for you as well. Now, people may place these items on the tier list a little bit differently based off of how they actually trade off, and that's kind of one of the things that I'd mentioned with this jukebox that's all the way down here. Like, at this point, you're literally burning diamonds if you are using a jukebox as a piece of fuel, so highly discourage doing that unless it is absolutely necessary for you to make that type of a sacrifice to get your things fueled. So this is just in an order, so to speak. It's not tiered. It's just basically listed in terms of efficiency. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe for the daily variety content. My regular skin will be back on Thursday. And until then, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.